As I've said for so many episodes, being SHU is just pure pain, man. Like, I just can't get over how good of a character he's become, but how tragic his life is. And if it wasn't bad enough for Miles to betray his trust, to betray what he thought family was, his stepfather is basically who that was. Not only did he have to end up killing his stepfather, ultimately, we learn a pretty shocking truth about the whole explosion, because his father was said to have done that, like his biological dad. I really wasn't sure which direction they were going with that. I was actually pretty heavily suspicious that maybe the dad wasn't as good of a guy as he was, up until the Miles reveal, which then kind of made me say, oh, they're not going the direction of his parents, his actual parents, being evil, but Miles was the one responsible. But why? And then we see in this moment of the mother, this demon, apparently the demon behind everything, and that the little sister there is apparently half demon. The mother figure in his life kills dad, hires Miles in order to save his own daughter, in order to do all this shit, and the dad as a last resort says, I'm not letting you bastards go if you're going to use my kids as some demonic weapon, and hits the detonator. Holy shit. SHU's life is pure pain, and the fact that all those memories of Miles was ripped away from him, and all he has left is rage, and that moment where they're all just looking basically down at their feet, they just feel so depressed because what a monster, but he wasn't as monstrous as he made himself out to be. I'm glad they went the route, which is something I brought up, but I wasn't convinced, because over the course of this episode, it made me really second guess myself, was that he seemed to have no remorse, that he was fine doing everything that he did. But there was something about the life that we got teased with, whether it was just these two talking in present day, to the little bits of flashback that we heard about, or even sometimes have seen. It just felt hard to imagine it was all fake, right? That it felt more like Miles before SHU dropped the bombshell that I knew you were the one who pulled the trigger. To me, it was more of a warning, like, kid, I care about you, stop digging or you'll have to get killed. And to see everything kind of click, you can understand how someone like Miles got into the position he did. It doesn't excuse, but it definitely explains in a way that it doesn't make him an evil character for the sake of being evil, but more so a man pushed against the wall and did whatever it took to make his kid survive. When your little girl is strapped into a hospital bed that's not going to make it, and a demon, especially a demon that you didn't see coming, offers you a deal to save, it's hard to imagine most people letting their kid die in that bed instead of just sacrificing themselves. Obviously, we know, making a deal with a demon, a devil, there's always more than what's initially agreed upon, or it's kind of like a sucker punch, where you thought you had to help them one time, but turns out they're locked inside your head, and basically you gotta do that for life, which is no surprise why basically he let himself get killed at the end. I think it's entirely possible that he could have continued to put up a fight and potentially even killed SHU if he wanted to, or maybe even killed Kisara. But the fact that he told her first, like, take care of him, as then he apologized as he let himself, in the open, get shot in the head. This was a powerful episode, a powerful moment, and I'm still blown away by how much quality A1 is putting into this show. It has yet to dip, both visually and narrative-wise, and if anything, it has grown way better than I ever thought possible. The fight scene was incredibly animated. I love how much it felt like a giant tanky character who, on one hand, felt faster than you ever expected, but even when he was slower and easier to predict, he packed such a punch that literally characters were going flying. I wasn't quite sure what SHU meant when he said to steal his memories, because I thought, well, they do it by kissing. Like, how is she going to do that? It's not like she's going to be able to go up to Miles and get a little peck on the cheek or something. But I thought it was clever in the way of, like, shooting him in the head, almost like his memories were about to be kind of, like, thrown into the air, and then she sucks him out and basically realizes everything. I think there's a lot of heartbreak, not only just with the whole Miles situation, but seemingly, like, there was never any chance that they were going to tell him about his family to begin with. So essentially, he's been a tool that's been undersold, underappreciated, and all things considered, was never going to get help to begin with. The good thing is now that Kisara has these memories, we at the very least have a direction we can go down, but it's a matter of if she wants to reveal it, because ultimately this path is just going to be even worse, and we're to the point where he's okay getting an entire character ripped from his memory, because that means, he won't have to remember the pain, but also power up someone. We're getting closer and closer to the point where he's going to have nothing left that makes him feel anything, and a human who can't feel anything is the most dangerous obstacle anyone would have to deal with. And at that point, I could even see someone like Kisara putting him out of his misery rather than carrying on with this fantasy love story that she's hoping to craft. That said though, it wasn't all doom and gloom. There was some pretty fun, not so holy shit moments that really were a pleasant surprise. Seeing Best Nun over here come in, I didn't think I'd love her any more than I already did, but seeing her jump in carrying a motorcycle, just kind of like kicking it away and launching it into her, it just felt like we were kind of fighting Venom in some ways, like certain Spider-Man games, like just the way things can happen. It was awesome, and there was a bit of bonding, there was a little bit of bickering, things were okay. And yeah, the betrayal stings with Miles, but hey, you know, we can deal with this, we can power on. And then it just gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse, to the point of like, this man is not going to get a happy ending. It feels impossible. Like, at this point, the best hope that I think SHU could get is that he gets to sit on a front porch in a rocking chair looking at the sunset for however long left he has left in his human life. Because I feel like he's going to be a vegetable by the end, or he's going to become something worse than he ever started out, like, you know, someone who can't feel things. If he has enough ripped away, he's going to be fine taking lives because the ends justify the means, right? So at this point, I just hope he gets a peaceful ending, but it seems more likely that it's impossible. At this point, all he can hope for is that he can save his sister, but given that the sister is half demon, and the fact that the mother of said sister is, you know, not so great in the big bad, at this point, I have no idea how this man doesn't take his own life, really, in a lot of ways. Like, this is too much to bear. I think a lot of people were expecting the sister would be the final boss of the anime because, you know, giant demons, just kind of feels like we're trying to find her. Looks like she has something crazy going on with her. Final boss makes a lot of sense. And then they sucker punch us with this woman who is stepmother, doesn't quite matter at this point, very important figure in his life. Holy shit, this man, like, he just can't catch a break. And it's just heartbreaking to see SHU from where he started out to where he is now. Night and day of what I would consider his character to be, and damn, tragedy is just, it's all he lives. Really, at this point, trying to predict where we go from here, you might get the gist of it in the broad ideas, but the actual meaty details, whether it's character motivations, characters' backstories, and, you know, what they might say in any given moment, it just elevates what could be an enjoyable show into a pretty damn amazing show, all things considered, and SHU's voice actor knocked it out of the park with that voice acting, with Miles basically standing toe-to-toe with him in terms of being equally impactful, from his casual, nonchalant attitude to even some of his own heartbreaking moments. But thoughts down below, theories if you got any, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.